Rahm Emanuel is facing very deep pension liability.
We finally have a model that brings both reform and revenue together.
53% of the pension liability would be eliminated eventually if they make some changes to the pensions for a couple of unions that represent a lot of the city's workforce, although not police and firemen. That will have to wait for another day. And the other thing that he's proposing is a property tax hike. Now, originally, he supported legislation in Springfield where the legislators would have voted on a bill that would have required the city to increase its property taxes. So in effect, the state legislators would be on the hook for making the decision. There was a great backlash from legislators, particularly Republicans, who wanted to say, hey, look, deal with your own problems. And then the final nail in the coffin of that proposal was when Governor Quinn came out and said that he wanted no part of it and kind of chided the mayor for trying to, quote, gouge the taxpayers in the city. And so now it's going to fall essentially to the city council, which for years under Mayor Daley was very grateful that the mayor would rule out property tax increases. They have been kicking the can down the road, and it looks like the hour of reckoning may be here for them finally. There are homeowners that have paid hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars even for their homes, and their property tax bills would be affected dramatically, although I would argue that their property tax bill still would be a lot smaller than for comparable properties in the suburbs. For instance, one alderman told me the average single-family home in his ward, $880,000. So we looked at homes sold recently for $880,000 or so in the city versus the suburbs, and the property tax bill in the city might be $13,000 or $14,000. Comparable property in Evanston, Oak Park, or other parts of suburban Cook County, you could be talking about $18,000, $19,000 a year in property tax bills. But there's a vast gulf between what you pay in the city versus what you would pay in the suburbs. This city council, like the city council under Mayor Richard Daley, follows the lead of the fifth floor always, really. However, the mayor's own city council floor leader, Pat O'Connor from the 40th Ward, he's in charge of counting the votes, and he warned us that not an easy sell. Now, having said that, we did speak to one alderman, Mihalopoulos in the 47th Ward, who did feel that he's ready to bite the bullet. He knew this is what he was signing up for, that the big issue is pensions and that he would have to pay the price. But he wants his constituents, when they pay higher property taxes, to also get more in return than they're getting right now, particularly when it comes to the issue of schools. Yes, you pay more in the suburbs than you do in the city, but what Powar's argument is, you get stability and you get an equitable service in terms of education opportunities for your children. And he says that's missing a lot in the city, and that a lot of the efforts to reform education in the city to provide more choice, for instance, have not really helped alleviate that problem or made people any more willing really to pay higher taxes, knowing that what they'll get in return is far less than in suburban communities.